Hey guys, welcome back to Bombchu. I'm Austin, and today I'll be covering the Humble Monthly Bundle from October 2016. This month's bundle sticks to the format of 8 games, 7 for Steam, one of those debuting with the bundle, and a smaller experimental bundle-exclusive game. That means we have a lot to cover, so let's get to it. I'll be giving my first impressions of each game, and determining if they're games I'd like to continue playing. This month's exclusive title is Fidel, Dungeon Rescue, a roguelike dungeon crawler with a puppy protagonist. Rooms are set up in a grid layout, and you cannot cross your own path. Controls are simple. Use the arrow keys to move into an enemy to attack. Attacking most enemies hurts you as well, but there are health packs littered on each level. Your goal is to go through each floor, covering as much ground as possible to get as much experience and gold as you can, which can be difficult since you start with very little health and aren't able to travel over previously visited spaces. You can undo moves if you trap yourself or see a better way to go, but if you spend too much time thinking, a ghost will appear to rush you out. Death lets you know that there's a bark button, then quickly reminds you that dead dogs can't bark if you try to use it, and sends you back to the start. Layouts are randomized, and some enemies can be killed in special ways without taking damage, such as attacking from behind, or not waking sleeping enemies by avoiding enemies adjacent to them. I was impressed with how polished this game was, and I could definitely see this being popular on Steam. The game is really difficult, and I wasn't able to make it past the first boss, but every time I died, I just wanted to go again. This is typically not my type of genre, but I really enjoyed this one, and I very well may play it again to try and get past that first boss. The debut game this month is thankfully not a demo this time. Thoth is a twin-stick shooter with a minimalist art style. To clear a level, you must defeat all the enemies. Enemies take several shots to take out and have regenerating health, so you can't kite several at once very effectively. What's interesting here is that enemies don't die when they're defeated, they just become faster and more aggressive. Shooting slows you down, so after you defeat a few, you can't spam your guns anymore without dying. Every 4th level is a boss level, and dying any time during that set of 4 levels will send you back to the first level in that set. That doesn't sound so bad, but it can be frustrating when dealing with a tough boss. Still, whenever I hit a section like that, I think, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to make it past this one. But the game kept me playing, and it was very satisfying to finally crush those sections. Each new set of levels adds a new mechanic, and they start to get used in some really crazy combinations. One example is death walls. On their own, they aren't that interesting, just something to avoid. But later on, a mechanic is added where defeating an enemy acts like flipping a switch to toggle those death walls on or off. Now you have to pay attention to where you are before you defeat an enemy, or get a couple of enemies low so you can quickly turn a wall off after turning it on to prevent yourself from getting trapped. I really like this one. I'll definitely continue to see what other mechanics they add in, and I'm very interested to see how the co-op mode plays. This next game was a bit of an odd choice. Deponia Doomsday is the 4th game in the Deponia series of traditional point-and-click adventure games. After the trilogy wrapped up in a way that left fans upset, the developers seem to have made this game as a way to appease them by using time travel to change events that happened in the previous titles. Unfortunately, I haven't played much of the series, only spending an hour or two with the first game and quitting after it didn't do much for me, so I don't know what happened in the story up to this point. The description on the Steam page tells you that you can enjoy it without having played the past entries, but the reviews say otherwise, and I felt like I was missing a lot. On top of not knowing the story, I really don't like traditional point-and-click adventure games. This one addresses some of my complaints, like you can skip walking animations by double-clicking on travel points. Voice lines can be skipped, which is really nice when you check to see if something's changed and get long, repeated pieces of dialogue. You also have the ability to highlight interactive spots, so you don't have to go pixel hunting or click on inane things helping you find what you need. However, even these modern touches can't fix this old-style genre for me. Obtuse puzzles with solutions that make no sense, and annoying characters that I simply don't care about leave me with frustrating gameplay and no narrative to drive me through it. Deponia is self-described as insanely hilarious, and I guess it's just not my kind of humor, because I never cracked a smile, except when there was a cameo from David Hayter, voice of Snake from Metal Gear Solid.
I had to leave old Jeremiah behind. His own damn fault. I have to give it to him. He was as fast as they came at changing a tire.
I also ran into performance issues, with frequent stuttering, and to top it all off, intro videos. You ever play a game more than once and start to try and skip the intro videos that just show off who made the game? You just want to get to the game. You start pressing space, enter, escape, any button that might let you skip. Some games allow you to skip forward, some games don't, but this is the first time I have ever seen a game pause the intro videos when you try to skip them. Maybe this was another hilarious joke, but if it was, I was not laughing. Much like the original, this game really didn't do anything for me. I get the appeal for some, but I'm really not the intended audience here. As far as choosing the fourth game in the series to put here, it seems like Deponia: The Complete Journey would have been a better choice, as it packs in the first 3 games without increasing the price much. If it wasn't obvious, I will definitely not be continuing this one. Next up is Train Valley, a railroad management game. Things start off simple as you build tracks between a couple of stations, demolish obstacles in the way, and try to stay on budget. However, things start to get complicated as new stations pop up over time. You must strategically connect them to your existing track in such a way so that they can access all the other stations. And you have to do it quickly with whatever money you have available, as trains will eventually leave the station on their own if you wait too long. You earn money by getting trains to the correct stations and getting them there quickly. You must avoid crashes and going to the wrong station, which is pretty easy when you're dealing with one train, but dealing with more than one trying to use some of the same tracks gets hairy quick. This game took me by surprise, and I found myself having a ton of fun when I was able to successfully manage a few trains simultaneously. The interface is nice and simple, and it's easy to get started. I'm likely to play it again. Game 5 is Action Henk, a racing platformer. At first glance, this game looked a little too simplistic for me, but a few little touches made me stick around for a while. The controls are very simple: move, jump, butt slide. Jump over gaps or obstacles, butt slide down ramps to gain speed. Your general goal is to get medals by beating certain times on each level. And one thing that's really nice is you race against a ghost of the lowest medal you don't have. So you feel like you're actually competing against an opponent instead of just the clock. And having that opponent there makes you want to do better. Your character is an action figure, and levels take place on toys like wooden blocks or Hot Wheel tracks. There are some fun details hiding in the background too. At the end of each level set is a boss that you have to beat to unlock as a playable character. They are creepy. Really, really creepy. I'm fairly certain I've seen some of these faces in my nightmares at some point. Five Nights at Freddy's should replace all the animatronics with these guys. Anyway, definitely not a bad game aside from the terrifying character design, though I'm not sure if I'll come back to it again in the future. This leads us to Grim Dawn, an isometric hack-and-slash dungeon. You know what? It's Diablo-like. We have roguelike, Souls-like. This is Diablo-like. The intro is really cool. As a human possessed by a demon is hanged, the demon leaves their body, and before they can choke to death, the human is cut down by a man named Bourbon. Damn, I could use a bourbon. Anyways, as you find out, this human is you. Everyone refers to you as the one who got possessed. I thought this was a unique way to introduce your character. There's been a number of Diablo-like games like Torchlight and The Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing. Some are good, some are not so good. Grim Dawn manages to emulate Diablo very well, while doing its own thing in the way skill trees work. You pick a class, you use skill points to get moves, and you click like there's no tomorrow. Click to move, click to pick up items, click a lot to attack. It feels like a lot until you hear someone else play a game like this, and then you realize how crazy it is. It does very well as a Diablo-like game, and if I had a craving for more Diablo, this would satisfy. Unfortunately, I'm not deeply into the genre, and I only really play all the way through a game like this once every few years. And my Diablo itch still hasn't really come back since Diablo 3. So I won't be continuing. But this should be a nice treat for fans of the genre. Next is Slime Rancher, an early access action farming game? You manage a ranch where you can keep slimes, as well as grow vegetables and livestock to feed the slimes. You have a suction gun to gather items and beings, and you can shoot them where you want them to go. So, what's the purpose? Well, I'm not quite sure. You feed slimes to get plorts. Plorts are exchanged for money. Money is used to upgrade your ranch and your tools, which are used to get more slimes to feed to get plorts. Plorts are of different value depending on what kind of slime made them, and hybrid slimes can be created by letting a slime of one type eat a slime of a different type. But what's the goal? Get all the upgrades? The closest comparison I can come up with would be a game like Stardew Valley, where you manage your farm to make money, but there's other stuff to do in that game like interact with villagers, form relationships, restore old buildings, fight through the mines. Here, it seems like you either farm or explore to look for more slimes. It's in early access, so there may be a lot still planned. What's here now works well for the most part. The only technical issue I found was some mismatched frame rates, as you can see my gun not moving as smoothly as the rest of the screen when I'm running. For now, I don't think I'll be messing around with it much more, but I'll likely check back when it comes out of early access. Hopefully the dev is considering adding co-op, because it seems like it would be a really nice fit here. Our final game is Hotline Miami 2, and boy, what a game it is. It's a top-down action game where your goal is to take out all enemies in each level, and one hit takes you back to the start of the section. This is the only game in this bundle that I already owned, and I've played it all the way through. I really love this game and its predecessor. The music pulses and pairs so well with the gameplay. I start to hear it and just go into a zen state while I tear bad guys apart. The visuals aren't technically demanding, but they are pleasing to my eye, with lots of great use of color. A major difference in this sequel is that you now play as several different characters, with each level being limited to one or a small set of characters with different abilities. Some complained that this was a bad thing, restricting the player to using certain strategies, but I quite liked it. Levels are tailored around specific abilities, so the experience feels a lot more focused and fun for me. Oh, and I won't show it here, but Hotline Miami 2 has an awesome final level. It does not disappoint. As I said, I've already finished this game before, but playing it again for this review, I think I'll probably continue anyways. So overall, how was this bundle? I think putting only the fourth game from a story-based series was a bit of an odd idea. I also thought we would see more horror, or at least horror-themed games, considering it's October. Still, while not every game was up my alley, there were some nice surprises in here, and I was very impressed with Fidel. But how much bang for your buck was there? To total everything up, paying full price, these would all rack up a cost of $125, lower than the September bundle by $10, which happens to be the difference in price between Deponia the Complete Journey and Deponia Doomsday, just saying. However, getting all these at their lowest sale price would cost about $66, $17 more than the games from the last bundle. Despite not having a AAA title like the last time, actually having 8 games instead of 7 games at a demo felt like it had more value. There weren't as many games that I liked here that I didn't already own, but the games that weren't for me should please many others, so I'll say this was a pretty good bundle. We'll see what's in there next month. Catch you next time.